Inside you, countless tiny scripts dance, whispering instructions that shape your hair, your hands, your hidden strengths. Tonight, you drift into this delicate theater, where DNA curls like soft ribbons of possibility. Let your breath slow, as your cells hum the quiet music of life. In their song lies the beginning of our story. You lie down and close your eyes, feeling the cool sheets gather softly around you. Outside your window, the world hushes itself, and so, too, does your mind. Inside you, though a quiet miracle stirs, a secret, constant ballet that has never truly stopped since the moment you began. If you could shrink down, smaller than a dust mote, smaller than a drifting bit of pollen, smaller still than any speck of your skin, you would enter a cathedral of living light. Here, within each of your trillions of cells, delicate strands coil and uncoil. These are your chromosomes, tender threads that carry the language of your life. They are not loud, they do not shout. Instead, they murmur endlessly, patiently, telling each cell how to become a sliver of you. Wrapped tightly within these threads is DNA, a graceful ladder twisted into a spiral called a double helix. Imagine it now, glowing faintly, bathed in a gentle, opalescent light. Along its steps, tiny letters are etched: A, T, C, and G. These four simple letters, like four notes in an ancient song, combine in countless melodies to compose your story. Perhaps you feel your chest rise and fall. Even now, as you listen, your cells are reading this script. They follow the instructions to keep your blood warm, your muscles supple, your mind alert. They whisper, repair here, replace there, grow softly, rest. You are not aware of this quiet governance yet. It is the foundation of every heartbeat, every breath, every drowsy blink. Imagine standing inside one of these cells. Around you, soft liquid flows, carrying tiny parcels back and forth. You watch ribosomes, like little workbenches, busily assembling proteins, bead by bead. Each protein is a folded jewel that will travel to strengthen your hair, mend your skin, or ferry oxygen through your veins. All of it guided by the blueprints curled nearby, your DNA. You are, in this tender moment, an entire universe of bustling artisans, each devoted to maintaining the temple of your body. It is a marvel, truly. But tonight, you float here not merely to admire. You are listening for something deeper. The first breath of understanding how CRISPR enters this hidden theater. For to grasp why we would ever dare touch such sacred scripts, you must first feel their poetry. Consider for a moment how remarkably fragile yet enduring this code is. It has been passed to you like a cherished letter, written by countless ancestors, sealed by time, delivered by love. Each generation folded new lines into it, added small flourishes, corrected little mistakes, or introduced them unwittingly. Now, that letter lives inside you, copied into every cell. Sometimes, though, errors slip through. A single letter swapped, a tiny rung on the DNA ladder broken or misaligned. Often, your vigilant cellular caretakers catch and fix these missteps. But occasionally, a slip remains, a silent glitch that may one day blossom into disease. Hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, names that echo like far-off thunder. These are more than just words. They are slight distortions in the ancient melody, small notes off-key that ripple through a life. As you drift on this thought, feel compassion unfurl inside you for yourself, for your ancestors, for the countless lives shaped by these minute variations. No one chose them. They arrive quietly, like a single droplet that someday grows into a river dot. Now breathe slowly and picture this: a tiny pair of scissors made not of steel, but of intricate proteins. These are CRISPR-Cas9, astonishing molecular tools that can slip inside a cell, find a precise place in the DNA, and snip it. Imagine watching as these tiny shears hover over a faulty sequence, poised with almost loving precision. They trim away the error. The cell then reaches for the original plan, using it to mend the cut, often restoring the song to its intended melody. This is where our gentle story begins to turn from pure observation to possibility. Because if inside you lies this library of scripts written over eons, perhaps one day it will be within reach to edit the words that cause pain, to soften inherited shadows before they ever take shape. Still, for now, rest in the awe of what already is. Think of how, every instant, your cells read these tiny letters, stringing amino acids together like pearls on a necklace, crafting the very fabric of you. This is a continuous, patient process, older than humanity, older than the oceans, older even than the sun. In its persistence is a kind of lullaby, reassuring, familiar, deeply yours. Notice how your breath slows a little more, drawn into the quiet rhythm of replication, transcription, translation, the soft chants of life's machinery. Each step happens millions of times a second inside you, yet you feel nothing at all. No buzzing, no heat, no weight, just the gentle assurance that your body is profoundly busy, faithfully maintaining your existence. Let yourself grow curious, now without urgency. If DNA is the library of instructions, what did it mean when humanity first held the tools to edit its own scripts? When did we dare to lift these tiny shears and trim the first vines in our inner garden? These questions drift around you like silken threads, inviting you to follow them deeper into the story. They lead to the first bold hands that wielded CRISPR, two tiny laboratories filled with glass and light, two careful experiments that promised to ease inherited sorrows. And so, as your mind rocks gently between wakefulness and dreams, you prepare to wander further, toward that tender moment when we first picked up these delicate scissors in the garden of life, wondering if we might dare to change the very lines of our shared human poem. Imagine a tender garden where each leaf is a gene, each bloom a trait. Once, we only watched this garden grow. Now, with CRISPR, we hold gentle shears, able to snip and guide its vines. In this chapter, your mind wanders through the first careful cuts that promise to heal. Picture a vast, lush garden stretching beyond the reach of your gaze. Each delicate vine is alive with promise, carrying tiny buds that may one day open into laughter, quick wit, long legs, or strong hearts. Other blossoms hold quiet sorrows, fragile petals bearing hidden flaws, waiting to unfold into illnesses passed down like faint bruises in the family line. For countless generations, this garden simply grew as it would. Seeds drifted on the winds of chance, taking root where they fell. Some flourished, some withered. You inherited the shape of your smile from one distant blossom, perhaps the curve of your spine from another. The garden's growth was a dance of randomness and quiet. Inevitability, each shoot a surprise. Humanity watched it in wonder, sometimes in grief, but always with hands respectfully folded, unable to do more than hope. Now, though, you stand at the edge of this garden with a new tool cradled gently in your palm. It is small, almost invisible. To the eye, a cluster of molecules known as CRISPR, paired with a careful guide. Think of it as a pair of tiny, exquisite scissors, designed not of iron or steel, but of intricate proteins that recognize exactly where to snip in this moment. Imagine leaning close to one delicate vine, seeing a tiny blemish on its stem. Perhaps this imperfection, left alone, will one day blossom into a disease that curls the leaves, steals their green, and spreads its shadow to future gardens. With trembling breath, you bring CRISPR to the spot. The scissors slip in between, the strands of DNA like a whisper, finding the flaw with miraculous precision. They snip just there and then step back. Your mind's eye watches as the plant pauses. At first, the cut is raw, exposed. But nature itself is wise. It rushes to mend the break. Using a clean template you have provided, the vine knits itself together again, stronger and unblemished. Soon, the leaf that grows there will be whole. The flaw has been edited away, as if it had never existed at all. This is no dream. In quiet laboratories, lit by tender pools of light, scientists have performed these first careful edits. They began not with human gardens, but with simpler ones: bacteria, yeast, humble plants. They watched tiny sprouts grow straighter, more robust, freed from ancient afflictions. They listened to the soft, empirical sigh of success, data confirming that the edit had worked, that the flaw was gone. From there, boldness took a step forward. Mice with blood disorders inherited from flawed genes were offered a gentle chance at relief. A single injection brought CRISPR coursing through their bodies, seeking out the corrupted instructions. Tiny scissors went to work, snipping and inviting the cells to rewrite the lines correctly. Soon, healthier blood flowed. The mice scampered about with renewed vigor, unaware of the profound gift science had granted them. Imagine now how this gentle miracle must have felt to the scientists who watched. They stood at the boundary of the garden, having made their first true cuts. Their hearts must have thudded with both wonder and responsibility. For if they could prune these vines so delicately, what else might be possible? Pause here. Let your own breath rise and fall. Picture the awe of these early pioneers, hovering over microscopes, their gloved hands steady but their thoughts racing. They were not just cutting away disease, they were writing new verses into life's poem, words that would echo forward into countless tomorrows. Yet these first scissors in the garden were not without weight. Even the lightest touch carried ripples. A snip in one place might send unseen tremors down the line. What if the tiny scissors cut a nearby vine by mistake? What if, in removing one flaw, they planted another seed of sorrow? These questions hovered like soft moths in the corners of bright laboratories, delicate and insistent, so researchers moved with profound caution. Each experiment was a measured breath, each result a careful note. They refined the guides that told CRISPR exactly where to snip, improving its fidelity so that mistakes became vanishingly rare. They tested and retested, sometimes feeling frustration when the garden seemed stubborn or wild, sometimes exulting when a plant unfurled its leaves unscarred. Slowly, confidence blossomed. The scissors grew sharper, but also gentler, more precise in their mission. The first human trials were approached with reverence. Patients with diseases written into their blood, sickle cell anemia, beta thalassemia, lay back beneath warm lights, trusting that these molecular gardeners might ease burdens carried from parents and grandparents. In many cases, CRISPR found its mark. The flawed sequences were clipped, and the body's own magic took over, weaving new, healthy strands. People once braced for a lifetime of pain felt relief unfurling inside them like quiet sun. Can you feel how astonishing this is? That inside your body, if ever needed, such careful hands might one day reach in, guided by microscopic maps, to mend what was broken long before your first breath. That your garden, too, could be pruned with love. Now breathe even slower. Let this thought wander through you like a gentle wind. These first scissors did more than just cure. They unlocked a future brimming with possibility. Could we, one day, correct every inherited flaw? Could entire lineages be freed from the shadows of disease? Yet with this promise also comes a hush of gravity. For to step into the garden with scissors is to assume a delicate power, one that must be wielded not only with skill, but with deep humility. Each snip is a choice, and each choice resonates forward into lives not yet imagined. So tonight, as you drift near sleep, hold this image close, a vast garden bathed in soft starlight, countless vines stretching into the dusk. Some need tending, gentle trimming to remove pain that has lingered too long. Others are wild in ways that bring joy, their twists and turns part of what makes life uniquely beautiful. As CRISPR rests in your hand like a delicate promise, you stand at the threshold, heart full of wonder, breath slow with respect, in the distance. Beyond this first cautious pruning lies something even more profound, a map of the garden itself, drawn in just 4 letters. A map that reveals how every vine knows where to grow, how every bloom unfurls its secret. And so you find yourself leaning forward, ready to step into this living script, to trace its letters with curious fingertips. Gently drift over a landscape made of a T, C, and G for tiny letters that, together, sketch the blueprints of life. Feel how this alphabet builds your eyes, your laughter, the curve of your smile. Tonight, you explore how CRISPR reads and edits this delicate script. Breathe slow as you wander the quiet paths of this hidden language. Close your eyes and imagine yourself shrinking again, drifting down past skin, past vessels that carry your quiet pulse, past the sturdy walls of each cell. You arrive in a luminous chamber where something astonishing rests. A coiled thread glistening like morning dew caught on a spider's web. This is your DNA, your intimate book of life. As you hover near, you notice it is not written in sentences like any human story, but in a simple, elegant alphabet. Just 4 letters, A, T, C, and G, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Such modest names for the architects of all you are. They pair off along the twisting ladder. A always embraces T. C always meets G. These gentle bonds hold the rungs together, keeping the helix intact. Let yourself drift along this spiral staircase. Notice how it curves and loops, stretching for miles if unfurled, yet folded so tenderly it rests within a tiny nucleus. Each cell in your body, from the ones that help you taste sweet berries to the ones that beat in time with your slow breath, carries this same exquisite library. What does it say? If you could read it as easily as your native tongue, you would find instructions for building the lines around your eyes, the strength of your heart muscle, the fine balance of chemicals that shape your moods. These letters spell out how to grow you, how to keep you mending, how to guide every small function that you never have to command. Imagine now tiny readers at work, moving along this helix like careful travelers tracing a map. These are enzymes and molecular helpers, tiptoeing along the DNA, opening it slightly to copy a segment into RNA, a a sort of ephemeral note scribbled from the grand manuscript. This note then travels to the ribosomes, where it's translated into proteins, the busy workers of your living machinery. Pause and marvel at this gentle industry inside you. Millions upon millions of lines are being read, transcribed, and followed each moment, crafting your saliva, your hair's subtle oils, the antibodies that protect you while you dream. But sometimes, in this vast map, a letter is misplaced, a swapped for a T, a C dropped altogether. It is like a tiny typo in a critical recipe. Often, your cell's caretakers notice and repair it quietly. Other times, the slip passes unnoticed, and the recipe changes. A protein forms imperfectly, or not at all. Slowly, across many repetitions, this can grow into an illness, woven into your very fabric. This is where CRISPR's wonder becomes so profound. Picture it as a little sentinel with a map of its own. A small guide, RNA, that knows precisely which sequence to find. It floats along your DNA, checking each landmark until it reaches the flawed line. There, CRISPR's delicate scissors make a careful snip, inviting the cell to correct the passage using a fresh, accurate template. Isn't it astonishing that with such a simple alphabet, just 4 letters, the blueprint for every living thing on Earth is composed? From towering redwoods to the curve of your fingertips, all life sings in these 4 humble notes. A, T, C, G, repeating, recombining, creating symphonies that stretch across time. Breathe slowly now, imagining these letters glowing softly in the dark like lanterns strung along a forest path. Each cluster spells out something vital: how your blood clots after a small cut, how your eyes adjust from sunlit afternoon to dim candlelight, how your bones remember to grow straight and strong. When CRISPR comes into this landscape, it does not rewrite the entire book. It simply seeks a single misplaced phrase, gently invites the cell to restore it, and then departs without a trace. Think of how careful this must be. The map is so intricate that even one unintended change could ripple outward in unforeseen ways. Scientists spend years designing guides that lead CRISPR precisely to the right place. They test and retest, making sure no innocent line is disturbed. The weight of responsibility is immense, for in these letters lies the memory of generations, the soft ghost of ancestors who passed their stories on to you tonight. As your breath deepens and your limbs grow heavy, let yourself feel the quiet majesty of this script. You are more than just a single telling of it. Inside you live countless drafts, older versions that survived ice ages and migrations, that learned how to fend off old plagues, how to harvest nutrients from unfamiliar fruits, how to cradle a growing child. You are a living library of all who came before dots. So as you drift toward sleep, hold close the thought that these 4 letters are not fixed in stone. They are a living document, and CRISPR is a new pen, a careful, cautious instrument that allows us to correct certain inherited mistakes, to perhaps erase some of the oldest shadows in our family lines. Yet this very possibility leads us gently into another question, one that waits for you like a soft light in the next room. What burdens do we carry, passed hand to hand through time, that might now be lifted? And how tenderly must we approach these inherited shadows to ensure we bring only healing, never harm?